That's such a good question, Jim. You know, I think we can all agree to believe on safe, welcoming spaces. And, you know, that's where we start. And um, we are not here to criticize or judge or to foster divisions. We are here to really listen and learn from each other. And, uh, you know, I'm not going to say that there aren't folks that we see within some of the businesses and organizations that we work with that might not agree that systemic racism is a problem or that white supremacy is not amplified within our spaces. And with that, you know, we we're not going to move everybody, but I say that we plant a lot of seeds. And for those folks who may not believe that those are challenging issues facing our community members, people we care about, our how we can thrive as a state. I know that we planted a seed without pushing people away through some education and storytelling and skill building. And so, you know, I've worked with some challenging groups, I will say. And I'm happy to do that, you know, because I am going to meet everyone where they're at. I don't have expectations for what someone should believe or what their values might be, but I meet them where they're at and find the common ground to just build those connections and plant the seeds. And also knowing that no matter what group we're working with, there are going to be allies activated in that space. There are going to be people who are going to feel more empowered to use positive communication skills to interrupt misinformation or stereotypes or prejudiced comments. There will be folks in there that will be stepping up to notice where changes might need to be made within policies or structures or norms. And, you know, there's some groups that won't invite us in, so then I won't have to worry about them.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? Brenda?
I was not aware of the group, but I'm delighted that it exists and that I learned about it right now, because I have been in a real funk just about the division and intolerance and everything, and then, you know, the isolation of the pandemic. And, you know, I've always believed that the smaller a person's worldview is, the more likely they are to develop these stereotypes and fear that basically goes into anger and hate.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being here today. I really needed this.
Oh, yay. And Brenda, you said one of our sort of foundational theories is, and Jim has been able to see this activity, but you're right, we are all shaped by our experiences and identities. And we don't know what people know. We don't know what people don't know. And so that's why I feel really passionate that we need to meet people where they're at. Without pushing people farther away, so that we can gain understanding of their worldview and how that impacts them in the world. And that gives folks a chance to not only think critically about their own lenses and worldview, but other people's. And, you know, not until, even though spending all my summers in Wolf Point and feeling a little confused about the division within that community. I didn't know. I didn't learn about oppression and really the true Native Indigenous history of our state till I came to U of M, when I was 17 years old. And I feel so blessed that I had that education and had those mentors that could help me better understand. And I think it's a gift that I can have time with folks to just have some of those same opportunities to learn more.
Any other questions or comments? Ken?
Thanks so much for what you do, Heidi. Hey, you're doing great work and I really admire it. I think we're all feeling what Brenda just expressed, which is a sense that our culture is very much at a point of deep divides, and we're all wondering how we can affect change and bridge those divides. And I wonder if you could talk for a few minutes about what are some of the underlying causes of division within Montana, and what can we do on a personal level to maybe try to overcome those differences?
Such a good question, Ken. I wouldn't expect anything less. I think the division is that, for Montana, we're all strained in different areas, all feeling maybe not valued to our full potential, feeling judged, struggling economically, so many factors, I think, are adding to that division and people not feeling valued or recognized for their experiences. I think we all have skills to be active in our allyship, transforming institutions, right? Looking at our own spaces and places that we care about, looking at the practices, norms, the culture within those spaces that we love, seeing where we can create change, building authentic relationships across group lines. That's one of the most powerful things I've seen in this work, being in incredibly rural communities where, and talking about supporting LGBTQ youth, where many people in that room has never had an opportunity to meet someone, or no one's ever felt safe to come out to someone. So, fostering authentic relationships across group lines is, I think, one of the most powerful ways to break down divisions and strengthen allyship and interrupt the misinformation or the missing information that exists that fosters that division. One of our skills that we share is around cultivating resilience. What does that look like for you as just a person? But how can we cultivate resilience in others? And really using our positive communication skills to interrupt stereotypes, to try to get underneath the comments, to learn more about where people are coming from, to really better understand their experiences. And we have in February and March, we will be hosting 2 community trainings virtually. And we will also be launching the Spring True Colors community series for white identity people who want to really better understand what living anti-racist is, and do so in a space with other white identity people so that we can really deconstruct systemic racism together and better understand even how that plays out and gets perpetuated within our communities. So I'll make sure to share that information with Jim for the Senior Forum, because and yeah, I mean, the more we can build relationships, I think the better able we are to, break down some of those divides.
Any other questions or comments? Ken again? You have to unmute, Ken.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. So a question every director loves to hear: how can we help your organization most effectively as individuals?
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, hearing from Brenda that she didn't know that Empower Montana existed, we are a bit of a secret. We've never done any advertising or marketing. It's really been word of mouth. But over just since March, I think we've trained about 9,000 people across the state of Montana during a pandemic. So sharing about our work with people that businesses, organizations, sharing about our youth programs to any young people in your lives. We do have volunteer opportunities. It's a little different this year because we're not doing in-person events. Normally, I'd be asking you to sign up to volunteer at the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration and Diversity Day, but we do often have volunteer opportunities with some of our community events. Every other year, we host it's like a train the trainer where we train folks in our curriculum, and if people are so inspired, they can co-lead trainings with us, which is a really great way to feel activated. And, of course, donations, financial support has been really vital, especially during these times, not being able to do we do an in-person event usually every October called the Leadership Luncheon, which we raise between $50,000 and $70,000 for our programs. And, we're going to have to be creative in how we raise those funds this year. And, I think doing our own personal education, reading the articles, listening to other people's stories. There's an element of unlearning that we have to do. And so I just encourage you all to think about that, and also please visit the website. We have resources on there and links for the youth programs that we do on virtual. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was going to ask you if you have a website and you just mentioned it, could you give that to Jim?
Yep, and I'll put it in the chat too.
Put it into what?
I'll give it to Jim and put it in the chat.
Okay, good. Do you have like a monthly newsletter you send out on the internet or anything like that?
We do have an e-newsletter that we send.
And so we could get on the email list so we could get that letter?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. I
that?
would love that.
And we could do that through your website to get on. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
So Heidi, this is Marianne. And I think you said that you start out like in the middle schools with kids. And because of how particularly Missoula is doing their, 2 days, basically 2 days in school, and they only have certain classes and things. And how are you getting to those kids now? Because I would think it would be pretty hard to recruit some new people that, the ones that are coming in new to middle school.
Yeah. Our program started middle school, but we've even trained preschoolers on creating caring spaces and making friends. luckily we have a really strong relationship with Missoula County Public Schools and some of the rural schools around Missoula, and with the Missoula Online Academy. So we've been able to promote our virtual after school programs that way. And word of mouth, our Youth Advisory Council try to, do lots of posting about it. And every month we host an Empowering Youth Leadership 1-hour skill building training that we've been offering to young people, just trying to find ways to connect. But, I have to say, it's not the same. It's our young people are burnt out of the Zoom. They have Zoom fatigue just like we do. They are missing connecting in person. And, I'll get a little teary thinking about it. So we just have to keep offering as many opportunities as possible to connect, knowing that this isn't going to last forever.
Yeah, I have a granddaughter who's done some things even in grade school, but I guess I've never had her really say anything about this program, or well, probably basically anything now. I think it's been very hard. It has been very hard for them. They only have a small group of kids that they can even interact with, even though they're going to school, just because of the COVID. So it is getting very tiring for everybody.
No, can it be over?
I got another question too. You're talking about getting into middle schools. Do you get into any private schools besides county schools, like a Sussex school or international school?
Yeah, we've worked with all those schools. The Missoula International School and Sussex. We've worked with St. Joe's. We also have done some work with Hellgate Elementary and, Frenchtown and Bonner. And now that we're doing virtual programmings, even though the youth are just not wanting to connect that way, in one regard, it creates more opportunities for, students from different schools to actually come together to a space. And that, so that's one benefit, is that we've been able to, outreach some of the smaller schools and school districts to participate in the after school programs and, build relationship with peers outside of their school area, which has been a bonus.
Lee?
This isn't so much a question, but maybe you can expand upon it. I was a teacher for many decades, and every day we would go over one of Ben Franklin's Poor Richard's almanacs. And one of the almanacs said, when the well is dry, we know the worth of water. I think that the pandemic, has taught us how crucial face-to-face interpersonal relationships are. And I don't think when we get back to normal, we're going to be as complacent about the value of meeting with other people and interacting with them one-on-one, as I say, eyeball to eyeball. Do you anticipate, like I'm anticipating, that we are all going to appreciate each other more when this pandemic has passed from our national scene?
I absolutely do. I'm not only hearing it from young people, but I hear it from adults. The only in-person thing I've done since March was, we were fortunate with the True Colors series with Holy Spirit that Jim and I did. It was a small group of 11 and we could be together with masks and socially distance in that space. And that's going to be a highlight of my life, that in-person time. Like Jim's one of my best friends now because he's one of the few people I've been able to see, in person and feel the energy of people. Like, I just miss that so much. And I also think, we tackle really hard conversations. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Talking about racism, oppression, ableism, homophobia, transphobia. I mean, these are big topics. And I think that the barrier of virtual limits the power of the conversations and learning that we can do together. So it's been a challenge, but you know, we gotta look to the benefits and celebrate the small victories so that we can keep moving forward.
Yeah. You know, as a teacher, I remember in the spring and the last few days or weeks, you know, every kid is just, oh, I can't wait to get out of school, you know, or in the evening, you know, the bell rings at 3. I get to go home and do what I want. It's so interesting now to see kids wanting to be in school.
Yeah. My husband's a Missoula Online Academy teacher for the sixth grade, and it's taken quite a while, but they're really starting to build relationships and connect, and the students are starting to, kind of build some friendships in the chat, but it's so weird, it's so weird.
I want to pass along a compliment to you. This is my first introduction to you. I want to compliment you on your positive spirit. I can see how you can draw in people to work with you in your organization and to listen to your message. You're a very, very positive person.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Heidi, thank you very much. Very glad you could join us today. And I'll pass on that website to everybody.
Great.
They didn't pick it up from the chat. And
and my email is Heidi@EmpowerMontana.org. I'll put that in, and don't hesitate to reach out anytime. And I will make sure to share all of our upcoming trainings and events. I'm so excited to know about the Missoula Forum, Senior Forum. Oh, I forgot .mt.
Hey, James, before we let Heidi go, I do have a question really quick.
Oh, great.
Heidi, I'm wondering, I'm a mother of a 9-year-old, and I know a lot of folks have grandkids on here too. And I'm wondering, I'm sorry if I missed this because I had a call, but is there one thing or one message or even one book that you would recommend as we're raising these kids to be more accepting and open-minded and understanding of what we can say or do or teach them to help foster this in the next generation?
That's such a good question. We do have a resource list of books on the website. And I will double check to make sure that it's been updated since March, because, any way that we can start these conversations with our young people, because they know a lot more than even I learn the most from our young people, and they want a space to talk about this. They want to learn and share with each other and better understand what they're noticing in the world. Even if they can't name it, they know it's there. And, any way that we can, that is just part of our daily, is learning more information.
okay,
Well,
again,
thank
Heidi,
you, Jim.
very much.
Thank you all. It was so nice to see you this morning and have coffee together.
Yeah, and the bacon tasted really good, didn't it?
I'm vegan, Jim, so I didn't miss the bacon.
Well, you're lucky you didn't lose anything. Next week, our speaker is Chris Jensen. He's going to tell us what's going on at the airport.